it's time for this month's image competition. This is the 5th and final competition of 2020, a year that will go down in history as being one of the oddest on record, but the image competition continues on, and we've had some fantastic entries to date. We have a noble, fine, and extremely skilled panel of judges with us, and so I'd like to introduce them. We'll start off with Steve Brazel, and Steve has been a member with IEPPV for many, many years, as you know. Probably best known for his competition, aside for his concert photography, but also he has done some interesting work and given us some interesting presentations on copyright. He's something of an expert on that. Next, we have Michael Collins. Michael Collins is president of Gold Coast Photography, is known as one of the Photoshop gurus of the world, has taught more classes on it than is good for him, and has been around for a very long time. Michael was kind enough to give me away when I got my master's, or whatever the correct term is, but he sort of kind of shoved me across the stage and said, here, deal with him, which was a great honor, and I was very glad to have him with me there. And then finally, we have a new member to the judging community, and Josh is affectionately known as Low Bass Guy. A lot of people mispronounce it as Low Bass Guy and think he's a fish. He's not, although he does photograph a lot of reptiles and arachnids and other creepy crawlies and weird stuff, but he does some incredible work, well known in the TWIP community, and has provided a lot of critiques there, and we're very, very excited to have him with us this evening. And so without further ado, we will move into the image competition. The judges have all been briefed. They are looking at slides.com. Panelists, you're looking at the images on Zoom. I know Zoom is not particularly kind to images, and so we apologize for that. We tried using the slides.com, and there's some issues with that, having a lot of people watching it. But you will get a good sense of what it is, and either way, the image quality is almost definitely going to be better than you would have had with our projector had we been in the old spaghetti factory. And I'm also entirely sure the food is better, but hush, I didn't say that. So starting off then, we have our first category for the evening is children. And the first image of the evening is My Red Book. My Red Book.
Somebody is Cyloning voice was.
Thank you, Stan. Okay, judges, you can enter your scores. Still waiting for the last judge to press enter.
They're all there. All three scores are there.
Stan, there's something weird with your mic.
That happens with Stan from time to time. His internet connection isn't always so good, but it'll come back.
Ah.
So it's possible that one of the judges sent the score only to you, Stan. If you could then.
Oh, oops.
Repost
that was me. Sorry.
Thank you.
Coming in. There you go.
Okay. Final score is 80 points. Well, Steve, since you set the ball rolling, you get to talk about the first book.
Gotcha. Okay. So first of all, I'm an 81 on this, and to the maker, I've got to commend you on a number of different things, but in particular, your presentation, your choice of matting compared to choice of background. I love how you did that. The tie-in, the key line that you've got all draw me into the image the way that I would want to be. The 81 for me actually was maybe even a little high. I was leaning more towards 80, and let me explain why. With the subject, she's a very cute little boy, dead center. It's really just taking the emotion out of it. That, the facial expression, and the hand positions. For example, I can see one thumb from his right hand, our camera right. I can just see the thumb sticking up above his arm. I'd either like to see more of that or less of that. the position of his hand holding the red book, his left hand, looks kind of forced and uncomfortable, and his facial expression looks a little uncomfortable. Other than that, lighting, not bad. I like the way that you've got some fill light coming in from the right-hand side. Like what you've done. The forehead's a little bit hot, but not horrible. And one other thing kept me down, and that is there's something with the texture of the skin that seems a little bit off to me, and maybe a little bit of over processing. But other than that, nice image, 81.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, next image and in fact, the final image in the children's category is Patiently Waiting for Mum. Patiently Waiting for Mum. Judges, you can score. Image scores 80 points. Joshua, why don't you take this one?
I did score this an 80. I think the lighting on this is absolutely phenomenal. I love the background as well. Lost me a little bit on the crop. I would have liked to have seen a little more of the chair, perhaps a square crop. And the pose is a touch stiff for me. But other than that, I don't have much to add.
Thank you. Okay.
Can I add something on this one?
Yeah, but go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, so that you know, I'm an 81 on this, and I agree with everything Joshua said. I would actually rather see symmetry on the chair is the way I would word it. I see the entire arm camera left. I wish I could see the entire arm camera right, maybe even a little past the arm, but more importantly, your catch lights in the eyes. I would love to see you make that one catch light instead of two.
Thank you, Steve. Great comments. Okay, there are no images for review in the children's category. And so the next category is commercial. We have a single image in the commercial category. Early bird. Early bird. Judges, you can enter your score. Image scores 79 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I actually really like this image. I scored it an 82. Even though the car is cut off and you only see half of the car, you know it's a Ferrari. You got the Ferrari symbol there. Adding the speed limit sign kind of adds a little bit of humor to it because you know that car can't go 5 miles an hour. So I really enjoyed putting that sign in there saying that. The one thing I probably would have done is, I think it's the driver's side window that's halfway down or halfway up, depending on your view. Either take it all the way up or all the way down and have it not have that line going across there.
Thank you, Michael. And well, within a category of one image, we only have one image to give thumbs up or thumbs down. Judges, if you would type Y for if you want to see this go up to a merit, and N if you would like to see it stay as a 79, please. Just type that into the chat. Image becomes a merit, moves up to 80 points. Congratulations to the maker. Okay, our next category is digital artistry. And one of the things to say about the digital artistry category is that as much emphasis is placed on the treatment given to the image or images afterwards as on the original capture. So this is very much about creating something from either one or multiple other images, or maybe even from scratch. The first image in the digital artistry category is celluloid creature feature. Celluloid creature feature. Judges, you can enter your score. Just waiting for the final scoring machine to play catch up. Is my chat running behind, or did you just send that to one person, Bruce?
I sent it to everyone. Score 78.
Okay, image score 78, and Steve, we're back with you.
Okay, so I'm a 77 on this, and to the maker, let me just start here. Your use of film as the matting for this image, very creative, especially the way that it ties into the celluloid creature feature, titling. I enjoy that. That's very, very cute. Here's what kept me from going to merit, and be aware, 77 obviously is in the above average category. It's a beautiful image. I love conceptually what you were going for here. The things that are holding me back are a couple. First of all, the black and white itself doesn't appear to be using 0 to 255 on your histogram. It's not using all of those colors. There are some blacks, I guess, in the caterpillar itself, but the rest of the image is very, very flat, very, very gray. I'd love to see some dodging and burning to bring things a little bit more depth and a little bit more texture. It appears as though that center stem that he's holding on to, it appears over sharpened to me. I would tone that down. The highlights on that are really jumping out. And the biggest issue that I have is that the majority of the top half of the image is the stem and the flower that's on the left and top, and it's all blurry. And with where that is in relationship to our little crawly friend, it seems a little more out of focus than it should be, and it's really drawing my eye how out of focus that is. I'd love to see this maybe even be focus stacked or something like that, that would just give me a little more feel of the depth in the image. But again, 77 and a nice job. Love the border.
Thank you, Steve. And the next image in the digital artistry category is Victoria. Victoria. Judges, you can enter your scores.
I re-entered mine just so that it was after the name in the chat.
Thank you, Steve. I think you're still only sending it to one person.
Nope, sent to all panelists.
Okay, in that case, I'm not a panelist because I didn't get it.
I'm not seeing them either.
I didn't see it either.
I'm not seeing it also.
Can you just send it again, please, Steve?
Yeah, I've actually sent it twice. There
I'm
you go.
not seeing any.
To all panelists.
I haven't seen any scores for this image yet.
Oh, I see everybody else's.
That's
fine.
Actually, you know what? No, I see Judge 3, but I did not see Josh's.
I just sent mine to all panelists as well. I can try resending it.
I also resent mine just to Nick.
All right, I just reset mine.
I didn't see it either. That's really wild.
I think we need to try and reboot the chat, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's close the chat and reopen. I saved that part.
Okay, attendees, bear with us 1 second. We appear to be having some technical difficulties here. Not entirely clear what's going on.
Let's reopen
Interesting. In the
chat.
save chat, I see everything, but
Oh, so you do see him in the save chat?
yes.
Odd.
That's weird.
Actually, no, I don't. I beg your pardon. No, I don't. Those are the other scores. So we do not see those. This is very strange. Well,
Hold up a cue card with your score.
we may end up doing that.
Or do it verbally.
Yeah, I think at this point, judges, I hate to do this, but unless this chat's going to come back, I think we're going to have to ask you to.
Let me try
Say your
sending
score.
mine to Stan and just see what happens,
Thank you.
since he is actually the host. Did you
Yeah.
see that, Stan?
Nope.
Really?
No. Let me
Try
try.
again.
Try sending
I
it
don't-
to Kim.
I don't see any of the judges as panelists for some reason.
Oh, maybe that's what changed. No, the judges are all panelists.
Yeah, but if you look in the chat, though, you don't see them as panelists.
You know what? Try doing this. Take me
That's
out of,
exactly
just do
what I'm
me
gonna-
as a test. Remove me from being a panelist and put me back in.
Okay.
Hang on, I just took Bruce out, but let me just. Who did I just take?
I just got yours, Steve, privately.
You did? Okay, yours was the last one that I sent.
See,
I sent
see,
it long ago.
I don't.
Wow.
Steve is judge.
Okay, so Steve, I'm going to take.
two.
Sure, demote me.
I'm
Bye,
taking
everybody.
Whoever judge one is, you're getting demoted. Sorry.
Oh, that was Josh.
That was
Oh,
Josh.
sorry, Joshua. Where did he go? There we are.
He's in there as Judge 1.
Yep. Okay. Steve, which one are you? 2 or 3?
I'm 2.
Okay. I just demoted you.
Kick out the new guy. I get it.
Sorry, guy. Steve was correct. It doesn't take very long before people start throwing insults at me. Joshua, I'm sorry about that. And then I'm going to take the third judge out as well. Michael, you should be on, and then back again. And let's see if we get back to, where did Michael go? There he is. Okay, judges, if you would each type your name into the.
Just type the scores in. Let's see if the scores
Okay,
work.
type your scores in. There you go.
Type your scores again. There we go.
Yeah, I see
see
it now.
2.
Yeah.
I don't
Need
see
Steve's. Or we need the Michael's.
Michael, you need to make sure you check.
Oh, he got it. He got it. He did it. He did it. It's in there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, good.
That was strange.
Well, that was exciting. Final score, 78 points. And Joshua, I believe this one's with you.
All right, this was very, very close to a merit for me. I love the concept of converting the portrait to a painting. What kept me from going into the merit category were 2 main things. One, the fact that the processing on the subject's face is overdone to the point where it's doesn't look sharp anymore, and that's distracting for me. The other thing was it appears that looking at the original image below, that the shadow was masked or was attempted to be masked out, but I'm still seeing hints of it. I would have either masked it out completely so you can't see it anymore, or left it in there. But that little bit of it is distracting to me.
Thank you, Joshua. Okay, next image, resuming normal broadcast still in the digital artistry category. The next image is blue. Blue. And judges, you may enter your scores. Bruce, we just got 2 dots. Image scores 80 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I scored this an 81, and I really enjoy it. I'm not sure if the maker had intended to have the bottom leaves spiral around to make it a spiral, or just to go into the center like he did. I think it might have been a little bit better had he or she made it spiral around and brought it in. The color concept was good. The stroke or the key line, very well done. Not too thick, not too thin, and a great color to go with it. Nicely handled.
Hey, can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
One thing, I love the image. I'm an 80 on this, by the way. I really wish that that last leaf of the stem spiraling up did land in the center of the main spiral. And it actually doesn't hit dead center in that. And I wish that it did.
Let's try that again. Thank you, Steve, now that I'm unmuted. I appreciate your comments. And now then, for the next image, still in the digital artistry category, we have Majestic Tom. Majestic Tom. And judges, you may enter your scores. Image scores 82 points. Steve, this one's with you.
Okay, so first of all, to the maker, I want to start here. I'm an 83 on this image. And I love, this is one of the rare ones where I really, really like the dark image background against a dark matte that's still slightly different in the upper left corner, which is nice. You improved the lighting in what you did in this image from the original. First of all, looking at the original with the tire behind it, the highlight on the body, the very flat lighting on the top of the head and the dark blues around the eye. What you've done here is bring out the texture, bring out the depth, make me, even in the feathers, make me feel like I'm there. What kept me from going higher than an 83, and I was actually pretty close to it for a couple of reasons. The eye doesn't feel as sharp as the head, and I really wish the eye, in fact, the ear, I guess it's an ear, I don't know, is sharper to me than the actual eye itself. I'd love that eye to really pop at me. And then I wish it was, you've got so much room at the top. I wish that was balanced. I wouldn't want to lose that, but I wish there was a little more on the bottom right for balance. I think he's too tight to the bottom, but very nicely done.
If I could add something as well.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
In the upper left-hand corner of the image, there's the brown, which I think are feathers. There's like 10, 15 dots up there. If you could tone those down a little bit, because I kept going up there trying to figure out what they were, which took me away from the main part of the image.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, and the final image in the digital artistry category is Exposed. Exposed. And you may enter your scores, judges. Image scores 80 points. Joshua, this one is yours.
All right. Well, I really am a fan of the compositing here. The way the maker combined, or the way this maker put that zipper in there, and I don't know that I have much to add. I do like the key line. That's really all I have.
Nick, if I could
Go ahead,
make
Michael. Yes.
I like the concept here. Great idea. Really good execution, except when you have it exposed, you have the zipper down and you look to that hole that's in there and you're hoping to see something, whether it's squirrels running around in his head or wheels or gears or something. It needs something in there to have something exposed other than darkness.
Interesting point. Thank you, Michael. Definitely good comment. Okay, the final, no, that was the final image in the digital artistry category. Before we move on, we have 2 images for review. The first one is Celluloid Creature Feature, original score 78. Okay, that was supposed to be, apparently we're going to have a technical challenge, challenging day today.
Slide 11, Nick?
It doesn't want to go back.
There you go.
So there's the, I'm going to have to skip through that way. I apologize. Okay, judges, if you give me a yes or no. Image remains the same. And then the other image for review is Victoria, original score 78. Remains the same. Now then, let's see if this will let me. Nope, it will not. So, sorry. Okay, the next category is the illustrative category. An illustrative category, or illustrative category, depending on your preference, is kind of the catch-all. It's where images go that don't fit into other categories. But so we will see images are judged as the image entirety, not with the heavy focus on digital artistry as in the previous category. But we'll have a mixture of different stuff. The first image in the illustrative category is Kondo Warrior. Kondo Warrior. Judges, you can enter your score. Image scores 79 points. And Michael, I believe this one's yours.
I scored the 79. The impact on this is fantastic. You've got this warrior standing there with a look on his face like, don't mess with me. The body is well lit, handled well. But when you get to the background, the line that's going through it in a circular fashion is kind of distracting. There's a line that goes from the stick to the head, which is distracting a little bit too. And then you get down to the feet, and the shadows of the feet are, there's something not right there. It needs some more definition in the shadows down there to pull it off. Had those been changed, I would have scored it probably in the high end of deserving of a merit, or even possibly at the low end of excellent, either 84, 85, had those been fixed.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in the illustrative category is colors. Colors. Judges, you may enter your score. Image scores 77 points. Steve, this one's with you. I think you're on mute, Steve. This is rare.
Thank you, sir. So good. I don't have to say what I just said. No. I'm the bad guy on this one. I'm a 75 on this image. And to the maker, conceptually, I like where you were trying to go. And this reminds me of my youth, actually. This reminds me of an old spirograph. But it loses its impact to me in the random breaking of some of the lines and its position in the frame and its presentation on the matting. So the matting is so thin with the bright key line that it just doesn't feel like I could frame this in my mind. I'd like to see a little bit more. Plus, there's so much room at the top and on the left compared to the right or the bottom. I think this image would be much stronger, in my opinion. I think you'd have a much stronger image if you were to pull the top down equidistant as you have from the bottom, so that it was more of a pano type feel and you felt like something was moving through space. And then the broken line specifically in the center top left side there, where everything else, like that bottom segment, it's symmetry. It almost looks like rice fields, you know, the tiers that you have in rice fields. But above that, where they start to break up, that actually is super distracting to me. I'd rather it stayed symmetrical. I've lost the story is a good way to word it. So I'm a 75 on this image. But conceptually, please go again. I love it, you know, conceptually.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, next image in the illustrative category is Evening Strut. Evening Strut. And judges, you can enter your scores. Final score is 81 points. Joshua, this one is yours.
All right, I gave this one an 81. I adore this. I love the composition, the key line, color harmony, everything fits. What kept me from pushing this into the higher end of the merit, if not the lower end of excellent, was when I look closely at the texture on the bird, it almost appears over sharpened on the feathers, but the eye is a little soft, so it's kind of confusing to me.
Thank you, sir. Excellent.
Can I add something on this?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
So I'm an 81 on this image, and to the maker, I just want to commend you because, as he just said, your color combinations, your key line, your matting, your presentation, the effect that you've done here, I absolutely adore. What held me from going higher in that category, like he said, it's to me, it's not even over sharpening. It's you went too heavy on the noise effect on the feathers, etc. But there's two things that really held me back. One, the legs feel awkwardly not having a foot. Where they are in the water, and I understand you may not have been able to tell the bird, could you stand up above the water, but it feels awkward where they're amputated. And the yellowish light, orangish light behind the bird, inside the feathers almost, on the butt area is blown out. And if you're going to do this kind of effect, go in there and fix those overblown highlights. I think would strengthen it.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Joshua. Okay. Next image in the illustrative category is Final Approach. Final Approach. Judges, you can add to your scores. Image scores 86 points. Michael, this one is with you. Yes, with you.
I may have underscored this a little bit. I scored this an 84. I really enjoy the image, and the concept is phantasmic. I wish I could have done something like this. The birds you're watching as he's making his final approach, which is really cool as he enters the water. A couple of minor things. I wish you would have stretched it out just a little bit more to give the little bit more room between each of the birds. And then when you get to the first two birds, especially the second bird, around the neck area, from the breast to the neck is a little bit over bright, almost blown out. And then also the landing in the water might be a little bit, the highlights are a little bit hot as well there. 84 might have been a little bit low, but nicely handled image.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, next image in fact, the final, so no, the next image in the illustrative category is entwined but contained. Entwined but contained. And judges, you can add your scores. Image scores 81. And lost my notes here. Steve, we're back with you.
So I am an 81 on this image. That worked out well. To the maker, I love these type of images. And it's interesting to me the impact these have on me, but at the same time, the things that tend to consistently keep me from going higher with this style of an image. First of all, this is another one of those images where I like the dark matting. The double key line actually takes away from the image to me more than adds to it, because the entire image is lines. And so adding lines on the outside kind of keeps me outside of the image instead of in. But one of the areas I constantly struggle on these images is that people are not perfectly symmetrical. There's always something off. And you know what? I scan this thing and I swear I want to find something off just in my head. But your symmetry is fantastic here. Where you fade, where you say stay strong, all very, very well done. What kept me from going higher is actually the center of the image to me. And I understand what you're going for, I believe, but that is so white and so bright that it's almost like a spotlight in the middle of a dark room, and it's a little too aggressive for me and pulls away from the amazing subtleness everywhere else. I wish that wasn't as bright. I'd go higher. I probably underscored this a little bit at an 81. I probably should have gone 82, but beautiful idea.
If I could say something.
Go ahead, Michael.
The center red to me is calling for more volume. Need to pump up the volume on the red to make it jump just a little bit more and grab your attention. And I agree with what Steve said on the spotlight in the middle. That needs to be either toned down or have something in there to create some attention to it.
Yeah, maybe even if it was, I don't know that it would work. Maybe even if it was brighter, like commit to it or tone it down. There's just something, it matches the image to me.
Let's try that again. Thank you, gentlemen. And the next image in the illustrative category is inside a there. Let's try that again. Inside a Vulcan mind meld. Inside a Vulcan mind meld. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 82 points. And Joshua, I believe we're with you.
All right, I scored this one an 82. Fantastic image. I love the color harmony, and I don't know if it's just me, but I love that I can see an old man's face with a beard in this. This is very well done. I might would have liked to see a little more of the, again, going with the old man's face thing, a little more of the beard at the bottom, but that's about it.
Thank you. Okay. And the next image in the illustrative category is Foggy Path Under the Pier. Foggy Path Under the Pier. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 79 points. Michael, this one is yours.
I scored this as 78. The title is very consistent with the image that you have here, so that works well. To me, the symmetry is off just a little bit, to where some of the openings on the left-hand side are a little bit more than the openings on the right-hand side. And I know when you're shooting a shot like this, you want the symmetry to be perfectly centered down the line. This is one image that you do want to center. And it loses, I know it's foggy, but it loses some of the detail as you get about halfway down into the middle of the pier. And once you start doing that, you start going outside into the bright lights where your attention is drawn versus down the middle where you want them to be. So I don't know how you could fix that, but cool concept though. I really like the concept.
We have a challenge.
Yep, I have a challenge.
Go ahead.
So I would love, I'm an 80 on this image, and I do believe that this, I'm not asking for an 85, but I do believe that this is warranted of a merit. Let me explain why. First of all, totally agree with everything he said. The symmetry is off. If you just look dead center, the first main post in the middle, it's wider to the second post on the left than it is on the right. You need to get your symmetry right. And there's a lot of areas around the piers where there's ripples in the water that don't match everything else. Almost look like brush smears. I would have cleaned all of that up. I'll give you that. However, there's something in this image that I don't know if it was missed or maybe it's only me, but there should be a horizon. I do see the horizon out there, but I don't see it under the pier. The way this was processed gives you the feeling that you're actually walking out on a foggy path, and it continues infinity in the center of the pier, the way that they did the fog in the pier. And I love that. The fact that it almost is like you could just keep walking through there forever. I like what you did. The use of black and white here. Actually, your heavy contrast, but nothing is clipped, but you got some nice blacks. For me, the only things wrong with this image are the symmetry and the weird ripples and reflections that I would have cleaned up in the foreground, but I do believe it's worth a merit.
Joshua, you have any comments?
Okay, I do agree with the comment about the symmetry. That and the loss of detail on the piers, what initially kept me from going to an 80. I scored it a 79. But you know, the more I look at it, I do love the processing, the color grading. This image does have a lot of impact for me, so I could come up to an 80.
Michael?
As much as I'd like to come up to an 80 on this, the longer I look at it, I hate to do this. Next to the left of the far right pillar, about 2/3 the way up, there's a sensor spot, and then down almost at the halfway mark, there's another sensor spot. Those need to be cleaned up before I could give it a merit image. I'm sorry.
And Steve, in rebuttal?
No, fair enough. I do see the sensor spot on the right. Yeah, I would agree that needs to be cleaned up. But I think, again, we're not at PPA. I think that for this level of local competition, for the job done here with the processing specifically down the center, for the job here done with the use of grayscale, I'm willing to go merit and overlook a couple of very obvious flaws, yes, that need to be corrected to go higher. But for me, it's an 80.
Gentlemen, please re-enter your scores. I do not see the final calculated score yet. Is the chat playing up? Did it get entered? Final score is 80. Image becomes a merit. Thank you, gentlemen. Good challenge. Okay, the next image in the illustrative category is Young Monk. Young Monk. Gentlemen, you may enter your scores. Image scores 81 points. And Joshua, I believe this one's yours.
Right. Great portrait. I do like the maker nailed the focus on the eye. Only thing that kept me from going up a little higher, I would have liked to have seen a little more light on the monk's face. The image is kind of flat for me overall.
Thank you, sir.
Can I add one thing, Nick?
Yes, Steve, of course.
I'm actually an 83 on this image. I love this image. The way you colored it, the way you framed it. I think he's too tight on the right, but other than that, the only thing I really want to add is be careful of areas in a especially a portrait image like this that are brighter than the eyes or the face. And that right forearm and right bicep are brighter than any spot on the face. So tone those down a little bit so that the face is the catch.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, and the final image in the illustrative category is Blue Crush. Blue Crush.
It went to the
Nick,
landscape category.
Nick, go back a slide.
Back one.
There you go.
Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're not.
I am. Gentlemen, please enter your scores. Image scores 80 points. Mr. Collins, this one is with you.
I
Mr.
scored
Who?
this.
Oh.
Mr. Me.
Gotcha.
Mr. Collins.
Mr. Me.
Have you renamed yourself, Steve?
No,
He's,
I didn't
he's
hear what
Mr.
you
Collins.
said.
Michael.
I scored this a 78. I'm the bad guy on this. On my screen, not enough of this is in focus for me to give it a merit. However, the concept is fantastic. The capture is fantastic. The timing is out of this world to get that great splash like this, but it just doesn't. There's some parts that may be in focus, but it's hard for me to tell from my monitor, so I don't know.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, we have one image for review in the illustrative category, and it's going to. I'm afraid I have to step back for some reason this time, so give me a second. It's this guy, Kondo
Yep.
Warrior. Original score 79 points. Image remains the same. Okay, let me just whiz forwards to the next category, which is the landscape category. And the first image in the landscape category is falling leaves. Falling leaves. Gentlemen, you can enter your scores. Image scores 79 points. Steve, we're back with you. Mr. Brazel.
Yeah, I'm a 79 on this image, and there's an old saying: if you want to take beautiful pictures, go to beautiful places. This is gorgeous. The time of year, the color of the leaves, everything about the trees themselves are pretty, but you got to be careful. That does not automatically mean that any photo that you take of it is going to be spot on out of the camera. So the shadows in the trees need some detail, specifically the branches in the upper left that I can see and upper right that I can see. If there's that much light on those trees, I would see, and this time of day, there should be some detail in those. The biggest thing that held me back, that literally as soon as this image popped up, the impact that hit me is the house is crooked. So the white pillar left of the doors and the white pillar right of the doors are both slanting to the right. And you've got, if you're going to have anything architectural in your image that my eye knows is vertical, then it needs to be either vertical, or you've got to commit to a Dutch angle that adds to the image or adds tension or adds impact. In this particular case, it's just not straight. So you need to straighten that. The motorhome on the right is really hurting the impact of this, or it may not be a motorhome. It actually looks like it may be a horse trailer. Yeah, you need to clean some of that stuff up, even if it's just burning it down. This could use a slight vignette, because even on the left where I see a lot of sky, it's not adding to the image. So you could do a slight vignette, not even necessarily perfectly round, but with a brush, dodging it in or burning it in where needed. The street at the top, at the bottom, I don't need so bright. You could bring all of that down. It's a gorgeous canvas to work with. Definitely needs some tweaking for me to get to a merit.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the landscape category is Photographer's Lonely Trek. Photographer's Lonely Trek. George, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Joshua, this one's yours.
So I do enjoy the concept with the footsteps. What's throwing me off is that the footsteps appear to be coming toward the camera. Maybe that's just me. The other thing that kind of got me is I don't know if it's just my eyes with the hills, or if the horizon is bowing out, like there's some barrel distortion on the lens. But that's why I scored this a 79.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next image in the landscape category is sunset on Myanmar. Sunset on Myanmar. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 80 points. Michael, we're back with you.
I scored this an 80. I really love the concept, really love how it was laid out. One of the things that could help it maybe just a little bit is to bring the sky down two different ways. One is to tone it down, because the sun is definitely blown out altogether, which when you have a sunset, it's going to blow out if you're filming straight into it. And then also bring the top of the image down and make it a little bit more of a panorama, so that the horizon line's not dead center in the middle. You manage to capture the colors of the plants, the palm trees. The buildings are nice and sharp. A beautiful image overall.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in the landscape category is make hay while the sun shines. Make hay while the sun shines. And judges, you may enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. And Steve, we're back with you.
Okay, so I am unmuted, right? Okay, so I'm a 79 on this image, and I want to go higher so bad. To the maker of this image, if you've got the raw and if it is recoverable, there's a couple of things that I would do. First of all, the presentation of just the dark key line on the outside does not do this wonderful vantage point justice. So mat it, put a mat around it, maybe even sample one of the darker colors from inside the image to give it a serious matte, maybe a lighter color from inside the image for a key line to really make it look like it's a piece of art on a wall, and recover the highlights. So in an image like this, where all the colors are very muted, if you had underexposed this, those colors would be able to pop, and you would have saved the highlights on each of those rolls of the hay. So if you've got the raw and they are recoverable, bring down the exposure so some of that color pops a little bit, so that the sides where the sun is of those hay bales is less blown. And even the fact you've got the dot in the middle, love this image, but every hay bale has a blown out highlight on it. You bring that back, this image is way in the merit category for me.
And add just a touch more saturation to the browns in there, and that you're looking at a serious score on this.
Serious. This could be high 80s to me if you just brought that exposure down, which would make those colors on its own pop. Great concept. I wish I was in that plane or balloon or whatever with you.
Drone. Yeah,
drone,
beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. Steve, do I get to hang you from a drone? Probably not.
Yes, please.
Okay. Next image in the landscape category, colorful sandstone. Colorful sandstone. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Joshua, this one's with you.
So I got to be the good guy this time with an 81. I really like the texture on this image. I think the border and key line fits the overall color scheme, which is great. I would have liked just a couple of things. I would have liked to have seen the divide, like the hole, for lack of a better word, a little more centered. And some of these blown out highlights in the middle of the image are kind of losing me. Or I would have gone higher.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next image in the landscape category is Tumpak Siwu. Tumpak Siwu, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 81 points. Mike, this is back with you.
I scored this an 82. Wow. The impact on this thing is phenomenal. You got a volcano blasting in the background. You got waterfalls in the foreground. You've got jungle in the midground and a beautiful sky to go with it. It just, something about the jungle just doesn't strike well with the colors. I don't know how to explain it. And if the waterfalls were a little bit brighter, it looks like the one in the middle is kind of muddy, which it could be that way, but the ones on the left could be just a touch brighter to bring up the waterfalls, to accentuate them, and maybe a little bit more contrast in the mountain to draw your attention to that as well. Because you got all these things going on in the image and you don't know. I still haven't stopped going around looking and finding new things. It's a beautiful image.
Nick, could I say something on this one?
You may.
So first of all, to the maker, I'm an 83 on this image. Phenomenal image. Again, this is one I could go way higher on. What it's missing is mood. You're in a gorgeous spot. You captured a gorgeous spot, you captured a gorgeous moment, but the cloud coming out of the volcano is blown out. The sky is too bright for the mood that I have at the bottom of the image with the waterfalls where it's in shade. I would have brought that down a little bit, maybe a gradient or something like that. And then on the left-hand side is really where it shows. The bottom half of those trees are shaded. The top half are light, but there's so much detail in the shade part that you're losing mood. Massage the dodging and burning on this to create some mood, and this is killer.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Michael. And the next image in the illustrative category is Night Shift on the Ocean. Night Shift on the Ocean. Judges, you may score. Image scores 75 points. And Steve, we're back with you. Steve, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Again, I'm a 75 on this image. And again, the maker of this image was at a beautiful spot, capturing a beautiful moment in time the gorgeous sunset and the gradient of colors coming from the horizon line and the mountains in the distance. Very, very nice moment in time. I love that your horizon is straight and not centered. My problem is focus. I'm not even sure really where the focus is spot on in this. The oil well on the left looks like it's got some focus points, but then the lights are so bright that it's softening the effect. But really, those need to be spot on, even if you focus stacked it. But you should be able to get this, even if you had to crank the ISO a little bit and really nail the focus on those. I almost would say this would be a prettier image without those and just the sunset, and pull it down a little bit. But nice attempt. I want to go to the spot.
Thank you, Steve. And the final image in the landscape category is Color My Way Home. Color My Way Home. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 80 points. And Joshua, this one's yours.
All right, I am the bad guy here with a 79. I really really love all the fall colors in the trees, and I love the leading line of this path that my eye just travels down it. Where it loses me is it's really busy and bright. It's flat lighting wise, so I might have vignetted it to that would have pulled my eye a little closer to the leading line of the path, which I take to be the hero of this image.
Thank you, Joshua. That brings us to the end of the landscape category, and we have 3 images for review. I'm afraid I'm going to have to click back through them again. The first one for review is Photographer's Lonely Trek, which was that one. The original score was 78 points. Judges, if you would give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Image remains the same. Next image is Make Hay While the Sun Shines. Original score 78.
Hey, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Bruce, you're missing one.
Uh-oh.
You're missing Falling Leaves. The very first one in landscape, it was a 79.
Thank you, Stan. I will go back to that one. So as Stan pointed out, Falling Leaves, original score 79. Also remains the same. And then the final image review is Colorful Sandstone, original score 78. Remains the same. At this point, it's time for the judges to take a short break. We will give a 10-minute break at 7:49. We will return at 7:59. So please stay with us. Just go relax, make a cup of tea or coffee or whatever beverage takes your fancy, and we will see you in about 10 minutes' time. Okay, we are at 7:59. Looks like we have a full complement of judges back again. And if everybody's ready, judges, are you all ready to proceed? Okay, the next category in the image competition is the nature category. And the first image in nature is I could give a hoot. I could give a hoot.
Please score.
Judge, you can score. And I don't see a final score yet.
Bruce, are you there?
I am. One of my computers just decided to make a
Image
change.
scored
Okay.
77 points.
Yeah, it's the final score.
Image scored 77 points. Steve Brazel, this one is with you.
Okay. And so that you know, Nick, for some reason you've gotten very quiet.
Finally.
Yeah.
How about that? Is that better?
That was not me.
That's better.
I know,
Okay.
it's okay. There's always, you can always rely on Mr. Collins for constructive, helpful, useful comments.
So I'm a 76 on this image. To the maker, man, people are going into places that I just don't get to enough. This is just a lovely subject, presented nice and strong, looking right down the barrel of the camera, even a little catch light in the eye. If that is the sun, which based on shadows and et cetera, it does look like it is, then just you shot from the right angle. You did so many things right here. Here's what's holding me from getting to a merit on the image. And it's one basic thing with an additional. I love the room you have left and right of the bird. I love the room you have above. You know, the branch is way too close to the bottom. The bottom left below the branch, I don't know if that's a rock or what, but it's really distracting because I don't know what it is, but it's a totally different color than anything else in the image. But the thing that really held me back, two things. The branch has gorgeous focus and detail. The eyes don't. So the focus, for all I know, you shot this with an 800. I commend you for that, but focus needs to be on the face and the eyes. I'd like the beak in focus. I'd like the whole head in focus. Whereas for me, that branch is really nice and pretty and sharp. Secondly, I wish there was more branch and he or she was slightly off center, more to the right or left for that matter. You could even probably move it left and lose that thing at the bottom left. But mainly it's the focus. I can't merit when the eyes are blurry like that.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the nature category is yellow bloom. Yellow bloom. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 80 points. Joshua, this one's yours.
All right. Well, I definitely like that the center of the dandelion is tack sharp, and I love it. I love its position in the frame. I don't even mind that it's close to the edge of the frame. I really like the attempt to burn down the background to draw the eye further to the flower. The only thing that really kept me from scoring higher was you can see some inconsistencies in the burning. If you look around the petals of the flower, you see the bright little bright green splotches. That's a little distracting for me.
Thank you, sir.
And
Oh.
I apologize. I scored this an 80.
Thank you, Josh. Okay. Next image in the nature category.
Can I add one quick thing?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, maker of this one, Yellow Bloom. I'm sitting here debating, which I have never in my life done, challenging this image down because of the dodging and burning near those petals. I can see your work so clear. There's even a spot where there's a dark straight line, but then a halo around it. If I can see that kind of work, I don't believe an image should merit. So just next time, be very careful, zoom in and burn it properly.
So that was or was not a challenge?
No, it's not, but
okay.
I just want them to know close.
You were thinking about it. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Definitely helpful to the maker, I'm sure. Next image in the nature category is delicate moth. Delicate moth. Judges, you can note your scores. Image scores 78 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I'm the bad guy on this. I scored it a 77. The moth itself, I really enjoy. I mean, take it away from the plant, the green part of the plant, and you got a really cool image. The thing that really, well, there's a couple of things. One is the presentation needs a little bit different style of presentation on it. The white draws you outside the image. Number two, the lighting on the image is super hard lighting. You can see the shadow of the stem on the leaf on the right, to where it's just such harsh lighting. And for a soft, delicate moth, I think soft lighting is the only way to go with this. It looks like an off-camera flash was used to fill it in, which I don't have a problem with on the moth, but the rest of the image just draws right into it.
Thank you, Michael. Next image. Oh, go ahead.
I just had two quick things to add, if that's all right.
Of course.
I would have liked to see a little bit of vignetting or like a reverse vignette on the subject, because of my eyes kind of bounce looking at the plant before it looks at the animal, and just nitpicking the title of the image, delicate moth, and you got a judge who is an insect macro photographer, and that's a butterfly.
Uh-oh.
Not.
Oops.
Thank you, Joshua.
See, I would have titled it Happy Lizard.
That's why you're a concept photographer. Moving on. Okay, next image in the nature category is Purple Touch. Purple Touch. Judges, you can enter your score. Image score 78 points. And Steve, I think this one's yours.
Okay, so I am the bad guy here. I'm a 76 on this image. And actually, the flowers themselves are beautiful. I love your capture on the flowers. I even like the color you used for the mat and the background, but the cutout job is where it's completely losing me. So on the left side of the frame, you're actually coming through in the middle of a bud as opposed to in the middle of the stem. So there is a knot there, as it were, right at the edge of the frame with a white line coming in under it. I lost it right there. But then as you come in and look at the flowers, the edge of the cutout on the flowers is very, very sharp, not really blended in. And so it's really obvious they're cut out. And in fact, on the right side and top of the flowers, it's almost as though there's a drop shadow. And I'm not sure if it was an intentional drop shadow or you just missed the cutout of a dark background. But then why isn't there a drop shadow on the stem? Right? So there's inconsistencies here in the actual composite job and cutout job that are losing me. I would rather see this with a slightly softer edge that blended into the background, made me believe you took this in front of a backdrop of this color, or if that's an intentional shadow, make sure it's consistent throughout the entire subject matter.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the nature category is Technicolor Dreamcoat. Technicolor Dreamcoat. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Joshua, this one's with you.
All right. I wanted to love this so much. I love the composition. The only what's killing me is you can see in the background some artifacts, some noise, and I suspect it's from over sharpening. Also, the vignette is a little heavy for me. I apologize. I scored this 79. And the very last thing is that bright green highlight on the hummingbird's chin. I probably would have burned that down.
Can I jump in? I apologize.
Sure.
Please.
So I'm a 78 on this image, and two things just to add quickly. You captured the bird itself gorgeous. And then the dodging and burning are where it lost to me. If you look at the tail, there's actually a very large halo around the tail and inside the mouth. And and what's really interesting is you nailed it on the breast of the bird, the back of the bird, the back of the head, nice and tight, nice in there. Whatever you did it right on. And then it's almost like you got a phone call when you got to the tail. This image has so much potential with slightly different composition, and that fixed.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the nature category is Lovely Lady. Lovely Lady. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 81 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I scored this an 80. I really enjoyed the image. The time of day may be off a little bit for this particular image, or the lighting. It's a little bit harsh on the lighting there. Under the bird's left wing, you got the shadow of the wing causing some disruption in the body and the colors. Really cool image. You can see the specks of pollen around its face at the end of the beak there. I like the image, but the time of day just made a little bit too harsh a lighting for me.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in the nature category, in fact, the final image in the nature category is Mesmer Eyes. Mesmer Eyes. And judges, you can enter your score. Image scores 80 points. Steve, this one's back with you.
Okay, so I am, oh, I nailed it. I'm an 80. I passed the test. So to the maker of this image, first of all, the fact that you committed to the shape of this subject and went with this tall, long image framing, even to the point where, you know, you've got some border around it, the key line kind of floating in the middle, but even inside the key line, you've got a little bit of matting left. I really like the way that you're presenting this. The bird actually, this is one of those rare occasions. I don't mind this subject dead center because of the way it's so long. You have a little bit of body trailing off to the left. Really like that. The light here is harsh. If you look at the shadow in the neck, this was harsh lighting, and yet you managed to keep the highlights, which I like too. There's a couple on the headdress on the right-hand side maybe, but what's keeping me from going higher is, again, the processing. If you look in the upper left of, as the headdress goes to black, I can see spots, I can see blotches up in there where I don't see them anywhere else. And I really would like to have that blend in equally and not draw my eye like it does. The nose is too hot. I'd bring the nose down so that the eyes pop a little bit more. And the left side of the bird's head, our right side of the frame, I'd also bring that down a little bit. They're not clipped, but just to shape the light more in this harsh light. But really interesting what you did with the feathers on the body. Really nicely done.
Thank you, Steve. And we have 3 images for review in the nature category. The first one is Delicate Moth. Delicate Moth. Image remains the same. Next one is Purple Touch. Purple Touch. Image remains the same. And then finally, Technicolor Dreamcoat. Image remains the same. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. And the next category is the pets category. We only have 1 image in the pets category, and that image is Lefty. Lefty. Judge, you can enter your scores. Image scores 77 points. And Joshua, I believe this one's yours.
All right. I love the emotion in this animal's eyes. The maker did a great job of capturing that. I scored this a 78 because first, the eyes are not sharp, sadly, and if you look along the camera right edge of the dog, you can see where I guess there was some selection or cutout done, and then the background blurred out. I would have given a good bit more care to the cutout there. You can clearly see blurred out strands of dog hair in the back, and then just where the strands are cut off in the sharp areas. That's really what kept it from being a merit for me.
Nick, may I add one thing?
Of course.
I mean, I could give this an tire critique, but there's no need, because right below the dog's nose to the right, like where the nose, the gap between the nose and the arm, if you look down below that, it's literal squares, right? Where you can see that cloning was done and it's squared. And yeah, you gotta be much more careful with the cloning at competition level. Don't give up though, right? Keep going. And by the way, I was a 74.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the, no, that was it for the pets category. So next category is photojournalism. And just as a reminder, the rules in photojournalism, the only thing that a maker can do is what would normally have been done in the darkroom. So dodging, burning, convert to black and white, but no replacement, no taking anything out, adding anything in. And also, the image should not have been cropped to completely change the subject. That, of course, we don't have an ability to judge, but the main thing is nothing gets added, nothing gets taken away. First image in the photojournalism category is Waiting for the King. Waiting for the King. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Michael, this one is yours.
I scored this 77. It looks like most people are looking towards the camera view for the king coming from this end of the village. Love the black and white in it. The thing that really drew me is the perspective of this is super wide angle lens, which caused the person on the left that's closest to the camera to distort very badly and caused a little bit of discomfort for me with that. And then also it needs a little bit more contrast, a little pizzazz to bump up what you're looking at. And as you go down the line towards the people about halfway through, they just kind of disappear into the background there, where the people up front you can see very clearly, but the people in the background just kind of disappear back there.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in photojournalism is Inside the Thunderdome. Inside the Thunderdome. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 77 points. Steve, we're back with you.
Okay, so I am a, what did I put on this? 77? And so photojournalism is all about storytelling, right? I mean, you want to tell a story with your image. You want people to see it and understand what the journalism portion of it is. And I understand the Thunderdome here. I've actually seen this type of thing before. They have it at certain concert festivals. And you've got the audience up there. They're all climbed up on the truss looking down. You've got two guys with padded batons on bungees that are fighting. I understand the story, but when you're doing photojournalism, your camera angle can emphasize or detract from that story. And what you leave in or what you leave out becomes part of the story and or not. And in this particular case, your position is what's hurting the image here. First of all, it doesn't feel straight. It could just be lens perspective. The girl on the right, I'm basically just seeing a blurred out girl, and she is so much of the frame. I almost would rather that you crop her out. The gentleman facing us on the bungee cords and his baton are both really, really hot. I wouldn't say they're blowing out. They're recoverable, but they're way too exposed, as is the spotlight on the sand. I would rather see you recover shadows, but keep the highlights down in a shot like this, because we clearly know this is night with spotlights. Give me that feeling. Tell me that story. Not just that they're fighting, but that this is nighttime and they're being illuminated, but without clipping or blowing things out. Great idea. I wish you could go back and do it again. But if you do, think about your position where you're going to see people.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the photojournalism category, Reaching for the King. Reaching for the King. Judges score. Image scores 79 points. Joshua, this one's yours.
All right. First, I love the black and white conversion here. I scored this a 79, mainly because I can't tell what's in focus. I don't know if it's distortion or motion blur, or if there's anything that can be done about that. But also, while I like that they all are reaching in the same direction, I can't tell what they're reaching for. And that would have, if it would have been possible to get that, it would have helped the storytelling for me.
Thank you, Joshua. Next image in photojournalism is Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And you can enter your scores. Image scores 80 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I scored this an 80. I love the symmetry of everything lined up, the title. The storytelling here is tremendous. You know what it's all about just looking at it. It's sharp. You can read the tombstones in the front very easily. A really good image. I might have cropped it just a little bit tighter on the right-hand side to get rid of that branch. I know you can't clone it out, but you can crop it out, or whatever that is on the right-hand side in the upper right corner. Other than that, it's a beautiful image.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in photojournalism is We Need to Help. So we need to help them. We need to help them. Judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 84 points. Steve, we're back with you.
So I am an 83 on this image, and this is the example of photojournalism. This is the example of underexposing slightly so the sky didn't blow out, right? Even on the left side where the sky is brighter, it's not blowing out. Little bit more highlights would be okay, and you can dodge and burn with photojournalism. So you could, for example, burn down below her feet, but I'm not even sure that it's needed. My only real complaint about this image is the composition itself. She's a little tight to the bottom left corner. I'd love to see the entire frame move to maybe the edge of the brick building on the right, which would open her up a little bit on the left. but I'm kind of nitpicking there. For me, it's just, this is a very good example of exposing properly. Maybe a third of a stop more, you still could have done it and gotten a little pop out of it. But yeah, just this tells the story. I mean, and the title, by the way, title worked with it as well.
Thank you, Steve. Sorry, go ahead.
I just want to add one quick thing.
Sure, go ahead.
The inclusion of the lady on the left is what made the image for me. And that's all I want. That's all I wanted to add. Just including that human element.
Thank you. Okay, that was actually the end of the photojournalism category. We have 2 images for review. The first one is Waiting for the King. Waiting for the King. If you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Remains the same. And the second image is Reaching for the King. Again, thumbs up, thumbs down, please. Image remains the same. Okay, the next category is the portrait category. First image in the portrait category is Oriel Street. Oriel Street. And judges, you can enter your score. Image score 79 points. Joshua, this one's yours.
I scored this an 80. I teetered right on that edge. I really like her facial expression. I even like the crop. What kept me the reason I teetered on the edge of merit or not was the fact that her eyes are soft. And this on the right side of the frame, that I don't know if that's a plant or whatever that is, was a little distracting.
Thank you, sir. Next image in the portrait category is In the Shadows. In the Shadows. Oh, sorry. In the Shadows. Double click. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image score 76 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I scored the 77, which may have been a little bit generous here. I like the concept. I like the idea. What I'd like to see is a little bit more directional lighting on his face, more aggressiveness in his pose, I guess, because he is the Grim Reaper. The right side of his cape, gown, whatever, towards the bottom, looks like the cutout was not done effectively, and the sai, when it blends with the background, it's not blended at all. It just jumps out versus being part of the image. And I scored it a 77.
Thank you, Michael.
Can I add one thing, Nick?
Go ahead, Steve.
I'm assuming that's a fabric background. I suppose I could be wrong, but based on the fact that the entire top light half with the fog looks like it has folds like a t-shirt, steam out your background or iron your background, because those are really obvious that he's not. And the point of the backdrop is to kind of make him go into it. So. And I, by the way, was a 76.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the portrait category is hat and heels. Hat and heels. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Steve, this one's yours.
Okay, so I am a 77 on this image. And to the maker, you're working with a beautiful young lady. It's a nice subject matter. I love the room, like the wooden floor with the wallpaper, and the fact that the bench that she's sitting on has that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for, Victorian type feel, which kind of matches the hat. All of that wraps together well. The heels kind of disconnect me from the environment that she's in, because the heels are more spike heels like you would see today. But that said, here's where I'm losing getting to a merit. Number one is the lighting. So her knee, her thigh, and her hip, and even her chest are super bright. And the white feather on the hat is, I'm thinking, clipped. Then her left arm, camera right, the arm is so dark you need some fill there, because if you look at the shadow on the stool she's sitting on, or bench, it's not a really smooth fade. This is very harsh light. I think what would have fixed this was more diffusion. Even if you had to put a diffuser in front of the light, that would have kind of toned down that harsh light on her. And then her left foot, camera right. I understand it being on the toe, but in her relaxed position, her heel rolled towards the camera. And I'd like that heel to be lifted up so her foot was straight. That would also tighten up her thigh a little bit, and I just think be a more flattering pose to her. But great subject, great concept. Keep going.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the portrait category is Gateway to Riley. Gateway to Riley. Judges, you can enter your scores. The scoring machine appears to be having a brief moment. Image scores 84 points, my mistake. And Joshua, this one's yours.
All right. I love this image. I like the wide crop, that it's not really tight on her, yet either through dodging and burning or just the way the lights fell, my eyes are drawn to the model. I definitely appreciate that. Yeah, not much to add to this. Some of the way the light's hitting the lower area of the, I don't know if that's a pier or the base of the bridge, or if that shadowy area, I would have spot healed or cloned that so that it's all black. The little specks here and there are just a touch distracting, but that's my only nit. If I didn't say already, I scored this at 85.
Thank you, Joshua.
Um,
Michael, did you have a comment?
I'd love to comment on this. On first blush, this is a dang nice image. I mean, really, really cool. But the closer I look at the model, I wish I would have done a slightly different pose so that it wasn't looking straight into her butt. If she had arched her back and was arched towards the light in some manner, I would have loved to seen that. I would have scored that a whole lot higher. But with the pose that's here, yeah, she's got a great body, but I don't want to be looking straight into her butt. And that's what held me back. I scored it a 79. And the rest of it, I would have scored high 80s had it been a different pose.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in the portrait.
Hold on.
Wait, no, hold on. Steve challenged it. Steve is challenging
I challenged
it.
this one.
I missed that one. Sorry. Thank you.
That's all right. I just wanted to hear what everybody said before we went deep into it. So, first of all, I'm an 88 on this image. And I don't disagree with anything Joshua said, and I don't disagree with anything, any of my esteemed judges said. The pose, yes, looking right at the butt. Okay. Here's the thing. A slight pose issue on any other portrait doesn't drop you an image from a high 80s to a 79, right? Somebody's weird hand, somebody's weird foot, somebody's eye crooked. It doesn't drop that far. Yes, could the pose be more comfortable to the viewer? Yes, but the maker, there's nothing technically wrong with the pose other than we're looking at a butt. The toes are pointed, the legs are separated, the head is in a clean spot, the arms are extended, the back is muscly, she's not relaxed. There's a lot of things about this pose that is a good pose. The angle is uncomfortable to the viewer, perhaps, but I would argue that doesn't drop it from the high 80s down, not even a merit. Because there's so much right in the processing of the grays in this image that Ansel Adams would look at the grays in this image, I believe, and go, wow, beautiful use of light, beautiful use of the full spectrum of grays, literally the full spectrum. The water reflection, here's where this image excels. Compositionally, she's laying on something that's at the lower third. The lines are vertical pretty much. Okay, a little bit off. The main bridge goes to the top right third. The other bridge goes to the top left third. The bottom of the left bridge, where it goes to a vertical pillar, is on the left top third. Compositionally, this couldn't be laid out better. I can't let that drop it. I believe this is above an 85. That's my argument. May not change anybody's mind, but so that the maker knows, I love it.
Joshua, your comments.
Looking at it, given what I've already said, I'm
just going for the 85 and above. I'm just looking for an excellent category.
I'm probably keen to stick with my 85. I don't know that it's quite borderline superior for me, but I don't entirely disagree with Steve.
Michael?
I'm listening.
Steve, in rebuttal?
No, that's all I got. And again, I may not change anybody's mind. I understand the uncomfortableness of the vantage point, but for some reason, the maker chose that vantage point, and that's their art to describe, whether I'm uncomfortable with it or not.
Okay, gentlemen, please rescore.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Image scores, still waiting for the machine.
It's an 86.
Image scores 86. I'm not getting that, so it must have been sent just to you. Never mind. Okay,
no,
good
it
challenge.
hasn't gone. There it is.
Oh, there it is. No.
No.
Sorry, we're having some technical.
Bruce is on the wrong line. Yeah. There we go. Come on, Bruce. There we go. No.
2020 for the win.
2 out of 3, Bruce. Yeah.
Image scores 86.
There it is.
There we go. The computer eventually caught up. Okay, it must be Windows. Next image. Oh, touched my mouth. Next image in the portrait category is Yahushua the Black Messiah. Yahushua the Black Messiah. Judges, you can enter your score. Image score 79 points. And Michael, this one's yours.
I scored this an 80. I think it's deserving of a merit. Although I think I may have overscored it now that I look at it closer. I love the eyes and the attitude in the eyes. Now that I look closer and look at the beard, there is something going on in the way it was handled in post. The big splotch of dark on his right, camera left, where the rest of the beard is kind of the yellowish, reddish tint to it. I think that needs to be cleared up and then re-entered again later on, and you'd get a merit image out of it, I believe.
Thank you, Michael. Next image in the portrait category is happiness. Happiness. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image score 77 points. Steve, this one's yours.
So I am a 76 on this image, and I love the smile and obviously all the color that's in this image. What's keeping me back is this is portrait. So I'm assuming you have control of, this isn't photojournalism, right? So if you had just snapped a dancer on the street and gotten a snapshot, I understand that's photojournalism. You got to capture what's in front of you. But here I'm assuming you had control to do it over and over again in the portrait category specifically. So she's hunched. I understand she's dancing, but where her foot is, the foot that's in the air, the bottom foot I like. She's up on toe almost, which is nice. But where the other foot is, her left foot, it almost looks like it's caught in the dress. I don't see any toes. It almost looks like she caught it and is about to fall. I don't mind the dress being out, but then I can't see the other hand. It's kind of cropped off there at the wrist. Her left hand is in an uncomfortable position. And again, she's kind of hunched. I would have liked to see her up a little bit more, tried to get the back of a hand maybe a little bit, not too much, but just a twist of the hand, and had the foot out in front of her. And then color-wise, I would have loved to see you pop those umbrellas a little bit more. So there's some tweaking, I think, that can get this image to a merit. I just don't think it's there at the moment.
Thank you, Steve. Next image in the portrait category is balance. Balance. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image score 79 points. Joshua, this one's yours.
All right, I was a 79, and this is almost a merit for me. I love the I do love the black and white. I love the concept. I would have liked to have seen a little more separation at the top of the white sphere between that and the sky. With the sky being so bright, it kind of gets lost for me. I also would have loved to have seen the crop shifted over a little, just a little bit, so they're not quite dead center. I'm guessing the maker was trying to catch the ripples in the bottom of the frame, but I think it just looks lopsided to me with the crop the way it is.
I add one thing.
Oh, go ahead, Steve.
Behind the person, there is water like waves splashing, but it's going really weird gray into the white. Just to even that out across the line would be much tighter image.
Thank you, Steve. Next
79,
image.
by the way.
Next image in the portrait category is Evening Glow. Evening Glow. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Michael, this one's yours.
I scored this as 78. I really like the expression on her face, the finger just touching the edge of the hat. I would like to see something with her right hand to be more reactive or into the image here. And probably a little bit softer lighting. The lighting on this is really harsh, hard light. I'd like to see a little bit softer lighting and more controlled, to where you put more emphasis on the upper body, the face, and not so much the feet and the legs. And on the bottom right hand side, you got the two rails that are really, really bright, a lot brighter than what she is, and it takes away from her versus enhancing the image.
Thank you, Michael. And now the final image in portrait category, Hard Day's Night. Hard Day's Night. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 78 points. Steve, this one's yours.
So I'm the bad guy in this one. This is a 76 for me. And a couple things I'll say to the maker. First of all, I love this subject matter, right? When you start getting this type of model and environment, you get the grit and the oil and the grease on the arms and on the clothes, and you can feel the moment. I mean, he's literally holding, what is that, a brake shoe or clutch? It's hard, I can't tell. You get that feel, right? This is almost photojournalistic to me, more than portrait, except that he came out and posed for you, at which point the eyes are out of focus. And I gotta have eyes in focus. The flash is really hot on his face and upper body. I actually oddly don't mind that, except for the reflection in the glasses. I mean, there's a style for that. Skateboard photography, that's what they go for, is I want to see the flash. I don't want to just blend it. But for me, on a portrait like this, I'd like the flash to be toned down a little bit to even with the ambient, and Cheetah's glasses down on his nose a hair so that you don't get that hot reflection in the glasses, and get the eyes in focus.
Thank you, Steve. We have 2 images for review in the portrait category.
No, we got a lot more than
We've
that.
got 6.
Oh, wow. Yes.
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
So I was, okay, correction. We have 6 images for review in the portrait category. I just saw the last 2. The first one is Oriel Street, original score 79. Image becomes a merit. The next image review is Hat and Heels, original score 78. Image remains the same. The next image is Yahushua, the Black Messiah, original score 79. Image remains the same. The next image for review is Balance, original score 79. Image remains the same. The next one is.
Can we go back to
evening-
that one? I'd like
Sure.
to change mine.
Okay. Image becomes a merit. Okay, thank you, Steve. So the image now becomes a merit. Next image for review is Evening Glow. Original score 78. Image remains the same. And then the final image for review is Hard Day's Night. Original score 78. Image remains the same. Okay, the final category is the workshop category. And the workshop category is for images that were taken either during the workshop or under the direct instruction of a tutor or instructor or teacher. So these images should be judged exactly as any other competition image, but they're not eligible for year-end awards. We have a single image in this category, and this is the final image of the night. The image is Serenity. Serenity. And judges, you can enter your scores. Image scores 75 points. Joshua, you get to wrap up the evening.
All right. Well, I love the expression on her face. I love the shallow depth of field. Sadly, none of it appears sharp for me. The focus is just too soft throughout the image, and that's really what killed it for me. And I'm sorry, I scored it a 75.
Can I add one thing, Nick?
By all means, Steve.
Yeah, so I am a 75 on this image for all the same reasons, really. But I want to be clear. It doesn't appear that it's just out of focus, like you missed focus. It appears as though it's motion blur. So I don't know if your shutter speed was too low or, she was moving when you didn't expect her to, but it appears as though there's actual motion blur of her moving left to right in the frame. So just be aware of your shutter speed if she is moving.
Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, so that wraps up the judging portion of the evening. And now our scorers need to do their magic to figure out the best of categories and any tie breaks that we need to break. And then the judges will look at all of the category winners in order to determine the best of show. Now, judges, I would remind you that we will continue to broadcast through this, so just type your comments according to the fact that you have an audience. And ladies and gentlemen, just give us a few minutes while while our scorers crank the handle and get the machines working where they need to be. And then Kim will take over and actually share Lightroom in order to drive things from here.
So we have one category that had a tie, and it's the children category. So there are two images that tied. So I'm going to bring those up and you tell me which one is the winner.
And by the way, hi to Pat Benter, who's in the attendees.
Oh, let me share my screen.
Kim, we don't see your screen. Oh, there we go.
I can say unequivocally for me, it's the seated young man in the chair.
Michael, Joshua?
Or do you want us typing it for record?
No, well, we'll do
Well,
that.
both. We'll do both. Once you come to an agreement.
Yeah. We're not going to have you argue in the typing. That would just be tedious.
I think I'd go with the one in the chair also.
Joshua?
I agree.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other ties to break?
That's the only tiebreaker. So
Okay.
hold on just a second. Give me just a moment to bring up what I need to do now.
So at this point, Kim has the hardest job, which is pulling up everything, finding them, and then interpreting the judge's instructions as to which one to pick up, take off. It's bad enough when you're in person and you can point at things, but over Zoom, this is tricky.
Can I have this one right here?
Yes, Steve, you may.
There are 8 images. They are the best of category for each of the category winners. And then you guys are to pick your favorite. So the easiest way is to tell me the ones to delete that you don't want to keep till we're down to 1 winner.
If I could go, I'm happy for the car to go.
Agreed.
Agreed.
I would actually say the first 3 images could go. The boy, the car, and the birdie thing.
Turkey.
Agree.
Josh agreed. Does Michael?
Yes. I could also say get rid of the hummingbird.
Agreed.
Agree.
And I'd actually get rid of the volcano too, personally.
Agree.
Michael, you agree on the volcano?
I agree, yes. Sorry. My mental telepathy is not working tonight.
Really?
Next would
Really, Michael? Go ahead, Josh.
I'm sorry. Next would probably be the bird for me.
I like the bird over the trash.
I think I like the bird over the. I love the trash as photojournalism, but I find more. I hate to use the word flaws, but there's more pulling me back out of the photojournalism shot, and the bird one is got more strength to me. So I'd probably eliminate the trash.
I agree with that.
I'll be honest. The trash is almost, if not number 1 for me, from just the sheer impact and storytelling of it. Like I look at it and I want to jump in there with a broom. Like it makes me want to do something. And I think to me, that means the image did its job. And that's what pushes it high on the list for me.
So let's talk about the black and white then, which I consider to be a great image, except for the pose or the angle to the pose. Like I have the feeling that pose from the other side, like if she just turned around and did the same pose, I think it would be much stronger. But everything else in that image I can see on a poster, right? The bird one, I just love the creativity of it. And the other one's a story. I'm stuck.
I love the color harmony with the bird as well.
Yes. And the angle the bird came down, open wing towards camera, slowly closing and turning away. And then the ripple. I really, honestly, the bird is very creative to me, but I love. Yeah.
Yeah. You have sold me on the bird over the bridge.
So Michael, would you say it's between bird and trash or bird and bridge?
For me, it's bird and bridge.
See, for me, it's bird and bridge. Which is not to say I don't like the trash to the maker. I love the trash shot. That's photojournalism, but it's a little underexposed and flat to me. And even in photojournalism, you could have gone up a third of a stop, maybe. You can dodge and burn. So you could have gone up a third of a stop to get highlights in the trash, but then burn down the sky a little bit. I think the framing is slightly off. Again, I mentioned this earlier. She's critical to the shot, but she's too close to the left. You didn't need that much trash. You could have moved, half an inch to the left on your framing and given her arm room to move. Whereas compositionally, I think the other two are stronger.
So 2 of the 3 of you say the trash can go.
Yes.
Sorry.
Democracy sucks.
Committee rules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Flip a coin.
Yeah, because I mean, again, other than that pose, the work on that bridge, the way that it almost looks like something out of, what was that movie? You know, Sin City black and white scene. Just with this really wild gray texture going back that's just really working for me on that bridge. But the creativity on the other one. I will say one thing on the bird one I don't like, to equal it with the pose on the one on the right. The tips of the wings on the birds are a little overcooked to me. They're a little, there's too much black in the birds. But that's an artistic choice, not necessarily a flaw. Can we go full screen on each one?
Yeah, I can pull them up on the slideshow. First one is the birds.
I've actually never had it this hard at the end.
So do you want me to stop screen share so you can put them back on the slideshow?
They're already
I've gone to the
already up.
slideshow, so you can just switch between the Zoom.
They're already looking on the slideshow, Kim.
Yeah, Kim, you can say we are. And then,
Man, that's good. I even love on the bird one how the background texture goes into the water until the bird needs to reflect at the third bird from the left, and then the reflection shows up.
Yeah.
Right. So creative.
and here's the bridge.
I want this one, but I you know, the pose is biting me on this one. The pose is, but the compositional structure of this is just spot on. I'm open to any arguments.
My only complaint was the pose. The rest of it is super.
Even the spotlights on the bridge are just, there's even a glow and halo around them. It's just so well done. So I guess the question, well, first of all, Joshua, what do you think between the two?
I'm really split. You guys definitely sold me on the technical excellence of the bird. Just the sheer the talent and creativity of it. So I'm kind of leaning that way toward keeping that one.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. My only real complaint on the birds, I think the tips of the wings may be a little too black. It's nothing major, but there are some blown highlights, which I think Michael mentioned as we were, reviewing it before.
On the first two birds on the left.
Yeah, on the breast area. That's a technical flaw, which equals the technical pose flaw. But the lighting in the black and white, there's no lighting flaw in the black and white.
Just taking you back to the birds.
Can we tie? We can't tie, right?
No, unfortunately, we do have to have a decision.
Let me get a quarter.
I vote 1.5 points for the bird, 1.5 points for the bridge.
Michael, you should be a politician.
So I'm going to go with my gut, which is I can find flaws in both. Both of these images on any given night deserve to be best in show to me. The subject in the bird one is so well done, whereas the main subject in the black and white isn't, but arguably in the black and white, it is the use of composition and shade in the black and white that I think you could use as a study in a photography class for me. Just even the way the pillar on the left suddenly goes into the water. There's just so much compositionally that I love there. For me, I'm going to say black and white, but I'm okay if the other two judges disagree.
I disagree. I like the bird.
Okay.
Joshua?
You're it, Joshua. Pressure's on.
By a very narrow margin, I'm for the birds as
I'm
well.
good with that. Let's go bird.
Birds it is.
Oh, sorry, wrong one.
Different bird.
Yeah. Kim, I can share it if you want.
But isn't it awesome that you end up with images that are
Yes,
so
it is.
strong that you have to think so hard? I love that.
That it is. Gentlemen, thank you very much for awesome scoring. And very briefly, we talked a little bit about your background, but not where we can see your work. Steve, where can we see your work?
I am anywhere that you can buy Diet Coke, pretty much. Okay, maybe not that. So for my photography, it's at my website, which is stevebrazill.com, same as the country Brazil, but 2 L's. It's at Steve Brazill, Brazill, on Twitter or Instagram. I've pretty much left Facebook. The account still exists, but I don't pay any attention to it for reasons beyond this discussion. The podcast, Behind the Shot, you can find at behindtheshot.tv. And then other than that, I've got a class coming up next year with Princeton Photo Workshops on low light action photography. That's about it.
Michael, thank you, Stephen. Michael, where can we see your work?
You can go to collinsphoto.com, and it's photo.com. So collinsfoto.com. And basically, I am retired from my studio photography. I've closed my studio down, and I'm moving to Idaho come 2 weeks from now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A little
Good
scary.
move.
Where in Idaho?
Scary. Meridian, Idaho, right next to Boise.
Nice.
Very
Beautiful
nice.
country.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
friends that live there.
And then finally, oh, sorry, go
And
ahead.
then also you can enjoy the Photoshop parties. After the first year, we'll start the Photoshop parties back up again. We're over 50, maybe 55 parties that we've done since the pandemic began, at no cost to everybody, just out there sharing Photoshop. So
Great job. Thank you, Michael. And then finally, Joshua, I realized I never said your last name. Josh Sommerfeld, also known as Low Bass Guy. Joshua, where can we see your work?
For my photography education endeavors, it's all centered around my Twitch channels, twitch.tv/lowbaseguy. Love to have you guys in there, chat, ask questions, answer questions, anything like that. For my photography, Instagram is Low Base Photography.
Thank you.
And by the way, let me
highly
add, since he mentioned his Twitch channel,
Go ahead.
the photography community on Twitch is doing really well. So yeah, if you're not a Twitch user, you should go check out the photography community there.
Thank you, Steve. That's a very good point. Attendees, I highly recommend that you go and take a look at all three of these gentlemen's work. They do amazing work, and it'll give you a little bit of background into their credentials, if you will, for some amazing judging.
We need to announce the winner's name.
Our winner is Bruce Benet. Congratulations.
hey, congratulations.
Okay, Bruce, seriously, that's one of the best images I have ever seen you make.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for our final competition of the year. Great job, amazing images, and a nice nail biter to finish the year off.
And Josh and Michael, thanks for judging too. And Steve,
Absolutely.
like always, man.
Yeah, no, you guys are
Really
amazing,
appreciate it.
and
Wonderful
Joshua,
what you
welcome
guys
to the
do.
judging community.
Ann
We'll
and
have you
everybody
back.
behind the scenes, Kim and Bruce and Nick, obviously, just you guys run it well.
Thank you.